What is going on, everybody? It is Alex coming back at you with another video, and today we are going to be doing another mock draft 3.0, which is going to be 2 rounds. It's going to be divided up into 2 separate videos, so stick around for round 2 because you'll understand my strategy when drafting for round 1. So without further ado, we're going to get right into the video. I would love for you guys to join the community, so feel free to like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun YouTube jazz. More links down in the description. Again, join the Discord. It's awesome. You don't want to miss out on it. We have a great community of over 140 people, and you guys can message me directly, which is awesome because I love talking to you guys. I don't really care about whether you guys like talking to me. It's just always fun to be able to talk to you guys because I make content so that you guys can enjoy it. So again, down in the comment section, do not be afraid to give good feedback. I am perfectly fine being wrong. The issue is, don't be a dick about it. That's just the bottom line. Again, I'm willing to say I'm wrong. I'm happy to say I'm wrong because I'd rather be wrong once than wrong multiple times. So let's work together here. Let's make the content a lot better overall because I do try my best to give the best for you guys. Without further ado, let's start off with pick number 1 here. We have now the Texans, who just lost to the Bears. God forbid. I always have the Bears at number 1, but the Texans, just apart from when they play the Colts, just can't do anything right at the moment. You have a lot of great pieces, so there is some hope. But those pieces need to start, actualizing into big W's. And so far, even against a team where Justin Fields has thrown 2 touchdowns all year and 4 interceptions, isn't happening. It's not good. Not good at all. So with this pick, I think we all kind of understand that Davis Mills just doesn't have that ceiling. We just know. And if I were sitting here, I'd be honestly fine keeping him and going Will Anderson. But I also know there are some really good edge rushers in this class. Zion Tupuola-Fatui, for example, in the second round, is someone where he had a really awful game against Portland State, literally 29 PFF grade. But all of a sudden comes back and puts up a 6 pressure performance, 90 PFF grade. So I love to see that resiliency from him. That as a round 2 prospect might be worth a lot more if I get my franchise guy. So I'm just going to try it. We're going to do it this week. CJ Stroud, honestly, he's starting to become a very attractive option. I need to see it for another week against a very high-level team because he was pretty lackluster, in my opinion, versus Notre Dame. He looked phenomenal versus Wisconsin. Everybody knows I'm not the biggest CJ Stroud guy. Granted, I still had him in the first. And I also, starting as of last week, I had him as QB2. So people, I'm not a huge fan of inconsistent quarterbacks because you need to be consistent to win consistently. That's just my thing, and he looked very consistent versus Wisconsin, but I need to see it game to game in those big moments, and it started out the year not so much, and he's been doing a very good job ever since, even though he threw a pick in the last game. We'll talk about this in my stock up, stock down, which should come out tomorrow or the next day, but CJ is definitely taking a step up. Granted, if he does this another week against a very talented team, he might be this number 1 overall pick, but for right now, this guy has absolutely no help. His offensive line, honestly, isn't that great. His running game, Jahmyr Gibbs is a stud, but to me, I don't really see him as a bell cow back. It's a very different style of backfield that he has, and the receivers are just simply not nearly as talented as they were. But Bryce Young still puts it on the money. He still has a great processor. He's still extremely athletic, and at the end of the day, he gets wins. And this team definitely needs a little bit of a juice added to them. If he ends up failing and you're at number 1 again next year, you get Caleb Williams and trade Bryce Young for a first-round pick the next year. People will still be in love with what Bryce Young was. So at the end of the day, be able to make a decision that might pay off in the long run. And getting Bryce Young, if he ends up panning out, is going to be the biggest return. You will always find another edge rusher. To be honest, we'll probably have conversations about, I'm bugging on his name, Dallas Turner, which is Will Anderson's buddy, next year, about him being a top prospect. There will be guys. And I don't think that taking a swing on somebody where the payoff will still be tremendous, and honestly, I'm probably going to do that for the Bears right now, which I will. We'll talk about Will Anderson in a second. But the ultimate biggest payoff is going to be if you hit that quarterback position right, because you have some skilled weapons, you have a developing offensive line. Your defense, again, you don't need Will Anderson to win. You need a quarterback to really put you over the top. And I wish Davis Mills were the answer. I didn't feel it. I really wanted to. You guys have a pretty tough schedule, but, you guys just didn't come out on top. And at the end of the day, if Bryce Young were there, you would have. And you might have done it against the Colts. And we'd be sitting here saying, wow, you guys are 2-1. Great job. So that's the difference of a quarterback. An edge rusher can stop the offense, but honestly, both of those, the Bears and the Colts offense, didn't really do very much at all. So it's not exactly the issue with the defense. It's more of an issue with the offense. So get Bryce Young in there, see what happens, and try to make the most of it. But Will Anderson's a stud. Again, the Bears, they do have some good guys in there, but, Gibson's doing really well. But you have Robert Quinn there, who's getting a lot older, and you have to go BPA. Personally, I would consider Peter Skoronski here. He did let up a pressure this last week, which hurts me a little bit because I was hoping he would continue this streak of 0 pressures. But there are offensive linemen in this class, and I think that you could try to invest it there. When you have a talent like Will Anderson, you just don't miss out on it. There are some very talented tackles, but none of them match the talent of Will Anderson. So pick number 3, we have the Seahawks on the board, and you got to go QB. Now the number 2 QB in the draft. This is crazy. Breaking news. Yes, did Alex just get CJ Stroud in the top 5 because he wanted to? Yes. CJ, again, hoping that he can continue being as consistent as he was there in the Wisconsin game. If he is, absolutely number 1 pick quality. Again, he has the frame, he has the arm, he has the placement when it's consistent, and that's exactly what you're needing if you're a team like Seattle, like the Texans. So very excited to see CJ Stroud take that big step and be even more consistent week in, week out. Pick number 4, we have the Falcons on the board. And honestly, you guys got to build through the trenches, man. I'm looking at it, and edge rusher is a big thing for me. And man, I really do think Myles Murphy might be better than Jalen Carter when all is said and done. But you just can't deny the fact that Myles has had one good week this year, and it was the last week, so I'm very happy, very encouraged to see that. I'm not dropping him from number 1 on my board yet, but he's still on that watch. I'm still watching him, so I'm giving you guys a little hint towards the stock up, stock down. I might be dropping him if he doesn't continue elevating his game, but he looked good. Jalen Carter is Jalen Carter. I don't really need to explain much more than that. The guy is just, you don't find many who are as talented as he is. And him next to Grady Jarrett would just be ridiculous. You can even play him as an edge rusher because he's that athletic. He's unbelievable. Legitimately be happy, just relax, and Jalen Carter is going to actually just revolutionize that defensive front. You have Arnold Ebiketie there as well. You can get another DB in round 2 because, AJ Terrell is a stud, but corner 2 is still a concern, and I don't really feel happy about Casey Hayward essentially being on a 1-year deal in terms of the guarantee and him getting older. So get the best player available and then see what you can do round 2. The Patriots are here, and you might say, Alex, they put a good fight up against the Dolphins. They did a pretty good job against the Ravens, and they beat the Steelers, which honestly isn't very hard to do. I'm surprised the Steelers aren't 0-3. But the thing is, when you progress through the season, teams watch tape, right? And you have to evolve, or you get caught up to and get absolutely shellacked. The bottom line is, I don't think that you are innovative enough in the offensive coordinating room to be able to do that. And the defense will always be Bill Belichick's type of defense. But at the end of the day, come week 6, week 7, I can guarantee you teams are going to have it pretty figured out. And I don't have the confidence in the OC to be able to totally switch it up and be able to make the most of the situation. So I think they will be a top 5 pick, which is perfectly fine. Mac Jones also injured, so out a couple weeks. It adds fuel to the fire, it just makes it worse. But I think when you do look at the guys on the board, you should probably look at a wide receiver like JSN. It's not exactly the Patriots type, but he does fit really well. I will just say I'm not going to target that right at this moment. Granted, I really want to. If there were trades in this, which we'll start introducing that, come probably week 6, once we have a better feel for the exact draft order, that's where I'd trade back and get someone like JSN. that's Bill Belichickian anyway. But like Jordan Addison's the most attractive wide receiver option right now, and I'm not ready to pull the trigger on him at 5 with the guys on the board. I think that they're still going to look at people like Myles Murphy, who have unbelievable work ethic, unbelievable talent, and unbelievable IQ. I think that's a really good move for the franchise. I think corner is another really good move for the franchise. You're just too high right now for the wide receivers. Jordan Addison is the only one I'd ever consider legitimately at this spot. Like even Jackson Smith and Jigba isn't the best receiver on his team. He might not be the second best because Abuka is looking really good too. We know Myles Murphy might be the best edge rusher on his team. He should be over KJ Henry. So I'm going to go with Myles Murphy because, again, he is starting to trend upwards. He was a monster last year. Unbelievable in the run game. And, again, when you're trying to get to stop the Bills, to stop the fully new crazy Dolphins, you really do need to have a formidable front. You're going up against Teron Armstead. You need to get pressure on Tua. You need to get pressure on Josh. And you need to stop that run. And Myles Murphy, it was the best edge rusher I've ever seen to do it. That is, it's a big tip of my cap to him. Should they go offense? Yes. But also, we're blending in a little bit of realism here. You need to go best player available. If you have that many holes, there's something called free agency to really build it. If you're not getting the correct value, then that's why you're failing in the draft. And it's honestly why I felt like the Patriots failed in the last draft. They drafted for only need and drafted guys that weren't worth that pick. Granted, they missed on people like George Pickens. But we'll save that for another episode. Pick number 6, we got the Jets here. And, when looking at the Jets, I could really see, Bryce's coming on. He's doing a pretty good job. I will say this. He does actually look pretty lazy still on the field. I don't know what's up with the Clemson defensive line. I don't know if the coach just naturally doesn't tell them, burst off the line of scrimmage. Because Bryce has these moments where it's holy shit, you look incredible. This will probably be a round 2 thing that I fix for the Jets. Because Foley Fatukasi was a big loss in the offseason going to Jacksonville. I do want to help on the defensive interior. But we're not going to do that. I think that when you do look at this team, you need offensive tackle more than anything in the world. And Peter Skoronski's on the board. I'm going to take him 10 out of 10 times. Peter Skoronski is a monster. He let up a pressure this week. I hope that he continues to try to lock it down. If he stays under 15 pressures this year, I think I'll be more than fine with taking him in the first. If it's over that, that's where it's why are you losing so much? And is it because your arm length? I have a theory that shorter guys with shorter arms are perfectly fine because of the fact that you don't have to put your arms down and reduce your range to be able to block people. But, again, time for another episode for that one. The Washington Commanders here at pick 7. I mean, didn't they have -1 total yards at halftime versus the Eagles? It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. At this point, you should be looking for a quarterback. Here's my only issue. Tyler Van Dyke is ass. I'm going to say it. I hate it. He got benched. And they lost. Against a nobody. Makes me want to rip my hair out. Because, again, Van Dyke and Richardson, both of those guys, I was okay, I am going to bet that they're going to progress. I was you know what? They showed flashes last year. Let's see if it projects to this year. Both of them haven't really done too well. Richardson just put up 450 yards. So, again, tip of my cap to him. He's not falling this week because he should be still based on where he is on my board. But I'm still showing a little bit of love. I want to see him struggle because he didn't struggle. He showed he showed the ability to remain calm under pressure, which is what Tennessee is pretty much known for allowing quarterbacks to do. But I just don't think I could pull the trigger. I don't think I can. But here is the only reason I may consider Anthony Richardson still in the top 10. Because the Giants might take him if they don't. And a lot of these teams are very pesky when it comes to not allowing a team in their division to get a guy. And if Anthony Richardson goes to Brian Daboll, it is game over in that division. It is. The Eagles are going to have to deal in a couple years with somebody who is Jalen Hurts, but everything that we would want from Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is phenomenal. I'm not trying to shun Jalen Hurts. You guys will see from the draft order, I have them in a very particular spot. But this could be where New York can take a major ascension, and it could be through Anthony Richardson. So I'm saying they're going to surprise everyone and say, we still have Carson Wentz for another year. We're going to have Anthony Richardson grow under him. And again, he just put up a 450-yard game. That's why he's in here. If he had another crap game, he's not making it to the first. But he showed he had potential. He showed it. And we all know he does. You see these balls that are going like 50 yards, and it's just like, boop. It just looks like you're lobbing it. And it flies out of his hands. The tools are unbelievable. If Trey Lance got drafted number 3, and of course, my buddy in the Niners said, hey, we were trying to go up to number 2 for Trey, then Anthony Richardson should be at least considered top 10 still. For his potential. Not for who he is now, but for what he could be if he sits a year behind someone like Carson Wentz. Pick number 8, it's a New Orleans Saints pick that is now acquired by the Eagles because of Chris Olave, who went off this week, so again, tip of my cap to him. But at this spot, I mean, for me, I honestly know that there's going to be a really good corner later on, but are they going to be there at pick 30? Spoiler alert, sorry about that. I don't think so. I'm very, very aggressive when it comes to taking corners and offensive tackles. Y'all know this, if you guys are big fans of the channel. So, I'm going to go after, in my opinion, the second best, but possibly the best. He's developed even more this year. Corner in the draft in a perfect fit. Joey Porter Jr. Yeah, this guy is an absolute freak. He should be top 10. He is number 8 on my board as of the moment, so very fitting. I'm a huge fan of Joey. I've been a fan of him since before the season. I graded him out, and I was like, dude, this guy is special. I said he's Sauce Gardner, but more zone-focused than man. And lo and behold, you're going to a team that very well could use a talent like that. So big fan of Joey Porter, big fan of him going to the Eagles. That is my dream fit for him. So again, really big fan right there. You got the Panthers, which I had to put above the Saints. I mean, I had to. I can't put them above the top 10 though, but I had to put them above the Saints. You know, y'all have one victory, and it was by a point above the team that drafted number 3 overall. 4. New Orleans isn't there yet. Your left tackle isn't even healthy. So, again, I'm glad that your wide receiver is doing well, but I just don't have faith. I really don't, and I wish I did. Pick number 9, we have the Panthers, though. And yes, the Panthers, I think they could use an edge rusher. Andre Carter is probably my favorite guy for them. Quarterback is a position I would target if this class were good. I just hate to break it to you. Anthony Richardson could be a huge bust. Besides him, I don't even know if CJ Stroud is going to be a hit. I don't even know if Bryce Young is going to be a hit. He has the talent, but will he actually materialize it in the NFL? I don't know. The sad thing is, this might be something where you want to bring in Jimmy G. It sounds so sad. Like, it's literally just a battle of the mid for the Panthers. But, you know, sometimes you just got to deal with it for the short term to get, like, a really good long-term return. And I think your receiving core is perfectly fine in terms of its depth. Yeah, you're probably not going to pay everyone in the offseason, and I think that's perfectly fine. Your offensive line is developing. You know, the guards honestly look pretty promising. I'm not going to draft a center anywhere close to 9. If Linderbaum is a late first, ain't no way in hell anybody should be worth this. I'm going to go with Andre Carter. He might be the freakiest guy in this class. 6'7", 260, might run in the 4.4s. There's just something really special when you watch Andre Carter. He's a very unique style of player, and he fits wide 9 a lot better. But the reps I've seen where he's not wide 9, where he's probably a 5 tech, he very well might be the best in the class. Like, this guy's a stud. Huge fan of Andre Carter. Had to give him a shout out. Pick number 10, the Cowboys are here. Yes, they are here. Granted, they beat the Bengals. God knows how, but, you know, it is what it is. I'm still holding some faith that the Bengals could make a comeback this season. I just, I have that feeling. But if they are sitting here, because it is very probable that they could, I would be looking probably at a wide receiver, and God help us, Jerry Jones is going to get the most electric player in college football right now. Jordan Addison. God help us. God help us. Jordan Addison is a top 10 player in the class, and it's a position of high value. It's a position of need, and this is going to be nasty. CD Lamb, Jordan Addison, it's going to be ridiculous. Think of it back in the OU days with Marquise Hollywood Brown and CD Lamb. Like, it's going to be very similar. So people are crying for maybe a quarterback. Again, not the class to do it. Also, just try to make it work with Dak. Honestly, get a stud there in Jordan Addison. Pick number 11, the Steelers need an offensive tackle like it's left, right, and center. We're going to go Broderick Jones here, who's just an absolute freak. Anton Harrison let up a couple of pressures this week. Not a huge fan of that. That's a big thing for me. If you don't let up pressures, that's a big plus. But then I see how you do it. That's kind of like the way I end up evaluating offensive linemen is by, like, well, first off, you got to do the eye test. You got to see how they play. But when you look at them statistically, let's just say you don't even have the tape. Let's just say it's some Albany kid. You look at the games that actually matter, and then you see how they perform. So, did you let up a ton of pressures? If you don't, that's a good sign. Maybe you should try to find that tape. But if you're just a straight-up bum, and you're letting up 2-3 pressures a game against people who are nobodies as well, there's not a very good chance you're going to be able to perform in the NFL. Simply put, not many of these tackles are able to do that. And that's why also you have to watch. If they showed some progression, then maybe you want to see their style. Broderick Jones has been a stud since day one. Guys like Anton Harrison have been doing a really good job, but are starting to show some cracks in their game. So Broderick Jones is definitely going to take that leap over Anton Harrison. Another hint at what's coming this week. The Giants are sitting here at pick 12, and I love going QB. Not the case. I can't go the Will Levis route. Can't do it yet. Dude still throws turnover-worthy plays against teams like Youngstown State. Really? Like, really? Like, the week before, they barely won. And I'm forgetting, it was against NIU this past week. They barely won. It's less than a score victory over freaking NIU. I'm sorry, I can't crown someone like that as a top 12 pick. Not yet. But I do think DB should be a position of concern. I think building the defense is never a bad thing. And whether you want Keely Ringo or Garrett Williams, both of them are absolute studs. I love them to death. If you want to go for a versatile guy, Antonio Johnson, another stud. But I'm going to go Keely. I think he has a lot of hype. I think he's a guy who would fit in really well. I love the idea of Keely there for the Giants, and I hope that he can really just totally revamp your core and make it even stronger as you start focusing on the offense. Pick number 13, we have the Raiders. And guess what? I'm going to go for the Raiders. Either tackle or we're going to go corner. I think corners might be a little bit more volatile, so picking him up in free agency might be a little bit easier. But I'm going to go a guy who's played both left and right tackle over someone who's played more guard. I'm going to go Anton Harrison here. He's had reps at left and right tackle now, and I think that even though he's falling a little bit, it's a hell of a lot better than what the Raiders have at the moment. So Anton Harrison is going to be a blessing for the only 0-3 team in the NFL. And I was going to try to bring the Colts down into the depths, but they somehow beat the Chiefs this week. They did it. God only knows how, but they did it. And they need offensive line. They do. So I'm going to go Paris Johnson here. I think that's the best thing you can do for the team. Get some true offensive line help in there. Quentin Nelson can't do everything by himself. Braden Smith can't do everything by himself. Paris Johnson can play guard. He can also play tackle. He's performed a lot better recently. He let up 0 pressures versus Wisco. So tip of my cap to him. Let's push on, though. Pick number 15, we have the Titans on the board. And honestly, I'd be considering Jackson Smith and Jigba here. Like, I just think you need help. At this point, offensive tackle is essentially off the board. Like, there's just nobody who's worth it at this point. Another reason why being later in the draft is not usually good when I'm the one who's drafting, because I love my offensive line. And I don't think tight end is a good match. You could look at something on the defensive side for sure. You still got guys like Will McDonald in there. But I think that's a round 2 thing, because you do have 2 edge rushers. You're paying a lot of money, but they do get injured a lot. So for me, I'm going to be looking at a wide receiver here, and it's down to Quentin Johnston, who I just saw in person. Guy's a monster. I love him. He came to SMU, and the scoreboard doesn't tell you how awful SMU played, but they whooped our asses. It should have been probably a 4 to 5 score discrepancy, by how poorly we played. They did a very good job. We just got lucky quite a few times. Jackson Smith-Njigba is going to be the guy, though, kind of be that Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp type. You do have now 2 slower wide receivers, sure, but they're both really good separators, both really good after the catch. You can still get speed threats down the field. I think that both of them will be just fine. Jackson Smith-Njigba has that very, very fluid movement skill that not many receivers do have, and that's something that is very coveted in the NFL. Pick 16, we have now the Texans again. I moved the Cleveland Browns up. I did. I told you, I'm willing to say I'm wrong. That's fine. But since they are here at number 16, they got Bryce Young with their first pick. I want to be able to possibly either revamp the defensive side or continue just pounding away at the offense. Like, you could go Quentin Johnston here, and that would be a really nice addition. Jermaine Burton might be someone who I want to get at the start of the next round, though. But also there are some really good edge rushers on the board. And one of them isn't even listed here. And I'm going to finally give him the respect he deserves. It's Will McDonald. This guy continues to put up huge numbers. Well, maybe not even huge numbers, but he's willing to put up consistent numbers. And he's just balling out. Yabi Anoma is going to be the guy who I select, but it's Will McDonald IV out of Iowa State. He's just so good, and his game all around. He literally is Kayvon Thibodeau, but like maybe 90% of him. And people just don't want to talk about him that way. I'm just saying. You'll prove us all wrong. Pick number 17, the Cardinals need a corner, left, right, and center. It is not a joke, and there are some studs on the board. Garrett Williams is my favorite corner in the draft pound for pound because not enough people talk about how much of a baller he is. The Chargers, you just lost Rashawn Slater for the entire year to a bicep tear. That really sucks. Injuries are piling up. I don't have faith that with your blindside tackle gone, your quarterback's rib cartilage fractured, that you're really going to be able to have the juice to make the playoffs. I personally would be like, hey, we have the pieces. We need to get healthy. Let's rest. Let's try to take kind of more, not a tank year, but let's make sure that our quarterback is healthy for the future rather than trying to win a couple games and then still being without a star left tackle when you play some very talented teams in the playoffs. So for me, at this point, I'm looking at guys like Brian Breezy. I really do like that potential. You could still try to look for someone to play right tackle, but I just don't have anybody like Darnell Wright's the next dude, where I would trade back and get him, but at this point, he's not worth it. Brian Breezy is someone who I would really want to get. I've gotten progressively higher on him each and every week, but there's someone who deserves a lot of respect, and this position has never been addressed ever extremely well by the Chargers, and that's linebacker, and that's Trent Simpson. So my issue with Trent was that his processing the game was really poor. You would see him just go to the wrong side of the line of scrimmage, not be able to like totally bite on fakes, just not really fully understand where he is on the field and where the play is. That's changed. He's a lot better now, and I'm very happy to see that. Trent Simpson's been playing very well, and when you play really well against the run, it shows that you're able to process and be in the right place at the right time. So I'm going to show him some love. Trent Simpson's going to test off the charts as well. It's a very poor linebacker class, but we're finally starting to see some of the stars take another step, which is wonderful, because I was really about to say, this class really sucks, and it doesn't. It really does. Well, it does, but the top doesn't. Hence why I'm willing to take a linebacker at pick 18 over a Brian Breezy. But pick 19, the Jaguars are here. And there's a plethora of routes I could go. But I think, I really want to do this. Let's go. Have I done this 3 drafts in a row now? I very well might. It's going to say Caleb Chandler, but we're going to go Osiris Torrance. It's not Will Shatley who's playing. It's Ben Barch. I butchered it last time. Ben Barch is playing starting at guard. If this team really has the legs to do it, you saw how Doug Peterson built that offensive line. Osiris Torrance is the way to go. That guy is a beast. He has progressed exponentially, and he just looks so good. He really does. Let up a pressure, but you still see the potential in this guy. He is phenomenal. Pick number 20, the Seahawks via Denver. Yeah, I somehow think the Denver Broncos are going to make the playoffs, but just do absolutely nothing there. I think that in the middle of the season, we're going to see Nathaniel Hackett either, similar to the Eagles, give up play calling or give up any sort of role that he has, kind of be a shell of a man there. Let's put it that way. or else, like, he's going to get fired. He's going to be removed or he's going to get fired. Either way, there's no way in hell when you have a super team like the Broncos should you be putting up 11 points. Bottom line, we need to do something to at least continue making this team good. And offensive line, again, not at the position that you want to be. But you still could add guys on the interior. Shelby Harris is gone. Getting Brian Breezy could just make it even more powerful. You have to go best player available. You could go Antonio Johnson here, 100%, and get a very versatile defensive back. Oh, I'm tripping balls. This is the Seahawks pick. I was explaining why Denver was at pick 20. Regardless, the Seahawks could definitely still take Brian Breezy here. I think that'd be a very good move for them. Let's see who we drafted first. CJ Stroud. So edge rusher is still a concern. Defensive interior would not be a bad pick. So we might very well take Brian Breezy at this point. He has progressed, and I love to give credit to players who take steps forward. So we're going to do it. We're going to show some love here. See, defensive interior, no. I love Brian Breezy, but I forgot about the fact that my boy Andrew Voorhees is here. Experienced offensive lineman. Guard is still kind of a position that's iffy. If you really want to fix this franchise, they also run a lot. Get the guard position fixed as well. The tackles are good. The guards are getting there. Now you can fix it. So you're almost there. I think that's a little bit more valuable than a defensive tackle. Again, between you and I think that we could, even in the second round, end up going after someone like Tyler Davis, who very well might be even better than Brian Breezy. You heard it here first, man. I love Tyler Davis. The guy's a stud. Pick number 21, the Dolphins via San Francisco are on the board. And honestly, I always like to go Quentin Johnston here, but I keep forgetting that Cedric Wilson's also there. It just doesn't fit the scheme. Tight end definitely seems like a position that the Dolphins would be interested in, but not in the first. So I might go Brian Breezy just to get somebody of that talent level on the team, that much potential. Noah Sewell wouldn't be a bad option either, in my opinion. Let me know what you guys would do. I know a lot of people are clamoring for a DB. Like, I'm just going to be honest. Your DBs are good. They're just inconsistent at the moment, and I think they'll get better. Brian Breezy is going to be the guy I take. I think it's just totally worth it to take a shot, see what happens, and roll with the punches. The Lions, yes, I do believe they're going to make it into the playoffs, are on the board. I'm going to go Antonio Johnson here, continuing to fix up that defense, continuing to get safeties in there. I think Tracy Walker's out for the year, so you guys can correct me on that as well. But Antonio Johnson's a top 15 player in the class. He can play anywhere you want him to, so I honestly think it's a fire and forget type of move. Pick number 23, we have the Vikings, who barely beat the Lions. Hence, I originally wanted to put the Lions above them, but you got to give respect to the victors, right? So for the Vikings, I don't really think, tight end is a position where they should target. I don't think tight end's a first round type of player to go after. It would be my dream for Antonio Johnson to be that guy. However, I'm going to show some love to a man who can absolutely wreck anybody. He's 6'4", 220 pounds, fluid in coverage, and he, with Harrison Smith being on the back burners, this man should be able to take charge. I really do think this guy is head and shoulders above every other safety not named Antonio Johnson in this class. That is J.L. Skinner. But before I choose that, I want to see the corners on the board because I do think that might be more of an issue. And I do think, man, I really, really, really want to go after J.L. Skinner. But corner's more valuable. You don't have anyone there. Simply put, you have Pat Pete, and he's getting old. He almost retired. So, getting Tyreek Stevenson, he had a bad week. But you see the guy's weeks when he plays well. He's unbelievable. He can also return kicks. He's 6 foot, 214 pounds. Just give him a chance. Give him a chance. Man, I really wanted that J.L. Skinner pick. Y'all know that. I was ready to pull the trigger, and I was like, oh, we got to go corner. Pick 24. I do think the Bengals bounce back. I think they have a pretty good playoff run. Again, offensive line is very chemistry-based, and when you bring in a bunch of new guys, the chemistry is not always there. So I'm happy to see they can beat the Jets. We'll see if they can continue to keep that trend going. I think that continuing to get weapons would not be a bad option. However, we should look at the guys. Oh, I already took Osiris Torrance and Voorhees because I would love to still fix that guard spot. I don't think Cordell Volson's good. Never did. And he's still starting. But, I mean, I don't even know what to go for in this team. Linebacker, honestly, is the best case scenario. I know your linebacker's been playing well. I like Logan Wilson. Jermaine Pratt was one of my favorite dudes in his draft class. But they are coming up for contracts. You don't usually pay linebackers that much money. And I still think a 250-pound dude who can cover is a very big asset when you have guys like Kenny Pickett throwing the ball in the division. No shade to Kenny, but I think Noah Sewell gives you the best chance to continue keeping your defense viable for a big run. Pick 25, you got the good old Lions on the clock, and the Rams do make it deep in the playoffs. I still think they can. Like, again, offensive line's a cohesion thing, and it's very chemistry-based. But a lot of people are going to clamor for Tanner McKee. I just do not think this class is that good. So I'm going to get him a number one wide receiver. I think this is the best case scenario for the squad. Quentin Johnston here, Antonio Johnson, like that might be the best case scenario. You have Johnston, you have Jameson, you have Amon-Ra. That is a killer trio. Then you have Khalif Raymond behind that. A wide receiver core that we said might be one of the worst in the league might turn out to be one of the best. And that's what happens when you just insert a piece here, a piece there, and just rebuild without hearing all the noise of the outside. This team could be legitimately super-powered very soon if this goes the way it does. Pick 26, the Kansas City Chiefs are on the board. And I think I might want to go after someone like Gervon Dexter at this point. You know, safety is not a position I think is really at need of being addressed. I don't really think much is, to be 100% fair. I really don't. So we're going to go JL Skinner here. I totally tripped up. I trip in balls. I literally said safety's not a position we're going to go after. I totally tripped up, guys. For the record, we're going Gervon Dexter. We'll select Gervon Dexter at a later point for some other team, but this is not JL Skinner. For you guys who obviously are not watching, for those of you who actually care, that's not JL Skinner. That's Gervon Dexter. My bad. This is what happens. We're doing this live. I don't pre-plan this stuff. Pick number 27. We have the Packers on the board, and they need to get a wide receiver. They do. And looking at the guys available, Kayshon Boutt's done jack this year. Jermaine Burton has a lot of potential. Do they actually go after a wide receiver in the first? Probably not, but I'm going to continue forcing it because I really want it to happen. We're going to go Jermaine Burton here. For the Buccaneers. God, they're going to go Bijan, aren't they? Yeah. We're going to go Bijan Robinson here. You know, I think that's going to be your best return on your investment is just getting a guy who's a bell cow. The quarterbacks just aren't ready right now, and it's very unfortunate to say that, but it's the truth. Pick number 29. I really want JL Skinner to go in this round. He's actually, you know what? I can guarantee you he's going by the Bills pick, so just keep that in mind. With the Ravens on the board, they don't really need much, man. They really don't. Linebacker, but we've already taken quite a few guys. It kind of sucks because that really is a good position to target. I'm going to go corner. I am. And there's a lot of good dudes in this class, but I think Cam Smith is just such a baller. I would love to take him for this team. The Eagles sitting there at pick 30. You could, again, look for a right tackle eventually for Lane Johnson. I don't think you do that in the first. I just don't. Running back could be a position you do target, but Bijan's not on the board. I wouldn't do it. Personally, this running back class is very, very deep. So we already went corner for you guys. DB is just not going to happen with Howie 2 times in a row. So I think edge would not be a bad position to target. Now, when you look at the guys on the board, I don't really think anybody's really worth it. So it is a little bit of a tough spot for you. We might have to reach on a player just to get good value. I wish Gervon Dexter were here. That'd be a pretty fun addition. Just say screw it. We're not going to re-sign anybody and then just go that way. Not going to be the case. Not going to be the case. So looking at the guys who are available. Dude, I mean, Eric Gilbert on the squad just make it overpowered. So I'll get out. We're not going to do that. What should we do? let me know what you guys would do down in the comment section, because I would really like to hear your guys' thought process on this, because I very well might go a right tackle for this team. Like, legitimately, Darnell Wright is somebody who's played left and right, and injuries do stack up for this team quite often. I just don't see any issues with this team. So, I'm going to do it. This man's been going off. He's going to get so much hype, and he's been putting up touchdown after touchdown after touchdown. This guy is a monster. We're going Blake Corum out of Michigan. I love it. And then this pick is going to be J.L. Skinner. I'm going to select Gervon Dexter. Again, the people who don't watch will be able to see in the comment section. But this is going to be J.L. Skinner. Obviously, the safety room getting older, getting more injury prone. 6'4", 220, absolutely locked down. Gervon Dexter, again, is going to be for the Chiefs. So that's going to be the video, guys. Let me know what you guys think. Stick around for round 2 coming very soon. See you on the far side. Peace.